بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. Today inshallah our lecture is going to be about who we really are and where did we come from. Many scientists previously they spoke about why we exist in life, specifically for the main test. But we did not really combine all the sciences that Allah Azza wa Jal revealed for us. Because many people still think science and religion are completely different, but in reality they continue each other's. Allah Azza wa Jal created everything from the science. We can say science is the main language of the universe, and every single piece of it is the continuum of this language. Religion is the continuum of science to understand why God created us on earth and why He sent us to complete this message, and where did we come from and why He created us mainly. If we look at the old civilization, we see that they were having the same struggle. More and more we come to advancement, we see that Allah Azza wa Jal, He revealed many things inside this book, or inside the previous book from the Bible or from the Torah or from the Quran, the Holy Quran. We see that some people altered those books. It's mainly the Bible and the Torah because of their own interest. But Allah Azza wa Jal, He promised that the Quran will not be altered, and everything inside this Quran will give us the answers. Many people still fascinated about certain movies that come up now here and then. They're talking about interview with God or so on, and why God created us, and they're still having this philosophical debate while all those answers are revealed inside science itself and inside religion itself. Let's go back in time. Let's go back in time and see who previously lived on earth. Allah Azza wa Jal, through His messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and His successor Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, He said, before us, the son of Adam existed, there were before you 1 million Adam, 1,000 Adam equal 1 million Adam, and each one of them, they have their own civilizations, and each of this civilization had their own tests. If we really study those tests, every single one of them was based on the main test that were from the main creation. Because before this alam al-dunya, we call it dunya, this dimension or this level, there were two levels. The first one is where we were like lights, the nur, alam al-nur or alam al-arwah, the spirits, and the second one is alam al-dhar, the place where we were placed. And for Allah Azza wa Jal chose us where to be, successing our fathers or so on, certain family, certain country, and then we went to Alam al-Arham, the wombs, our mother's wombs, and then we came to Alam al-Dunya, this life we live on, and this is the main tests that Allah Azza wa Jal is giving us. He's given us this test, so we search for who we really are. Because now we have this type of conscience that we can ask questions and we can go into the struggle where we find those answers and where exactly those answers are. So previously there were something called the jinn. Jinn is, and they still live among us, is in the second dimension, what we call them now, the spirits. And those ones are from the Allah Azza wa Jal, God created them from fire, and we were created from clay. And previously there were certain civilization that lived before us, they called Nasnas. We are the human being, the son of our Adam. They used to have their own Adam, and they lived this place. And then at the very end they start fighting with each other, with Jinn and Nasnas, until they completely wiped the earth, because of they used to use the energy of gravitation inside earth and so on, and they weakened this energy. So many things even some continent that were completely gone under the sea because of this altering this energy. And mainly the Bermuda Triangle now exists because it used to be in the North Pole, and if you go straight line in the other side of the earth, you will see the Devil's Island next to Japan, where used to be the South Pole, the North Pole. The South Pole. So all this information is for us to know where why we came after those people. But this is not the real answer for who we really are. Let's go back to the very first, when Allah Azza wa Jal created us. Previously I spoke about it in a few sentences, but today I'm gonna really dive into it. We're gonna really understand what happened at that place, at that dimension, and then later why we came in here and where we gonna go after that. So at the very beginning, Allah Azza wa Jal created a light, a nur, and this nur He created it from His own ability of creation. He did not create it from something else like us. He created this from His ability of creation, what we call in Arabic the power of Qudratullah Azza wa Jal. And then He looked at this nur in certain way, for sure, because Allah Azza wa Jal, the God, He does not have a form, He's not an energy. I always repeat those things because many people have missed the concept of thinking God is He looking like us. And then in Bible, where Allah Azza wa Jal, it is important to mention this part, even though I'm going away from the main explanation. But when He said, I created human being from the form, I was the form of God, it's not true. In this form that we are, God does not look like this. He created us in this form because this form present alam al-dunya. I previously explained every certain piece where it is inside the body and why this body He created it. For example, if we live in different universe, Allah Azza wa Jalla will create us completely different. And even if we move from place to place under certain laws of quantum physics and so on, now scientists are talking about that, we won't feel the difference inside our look, but we completely will look different because the structure of atom from place to place, it completely will change, even though we will not feel that if we go from place to place or from dimension to dimension, because the form of energy always exists in different forms in different universes, and this is something known scientifically. So mainly now, when he say I created human being from my main image, mainly he's speaking about not the image of Allah, he's speaking about the image of that light that He created. Because Allah Azza wa Jal, the God, does not have any image, He's not bound to any type of energy, lights, or anything you can imagine. If you think this is God, won't be God, because your thoughts are limited. Even if you have the ultimate thought, you won't ever imagine who is He or who will be exactly. Even the word He created, defining Himself, are not Him exactly 100%. Anyway, so when He created this light, He said, this light will be the ultimate stage that I want all my creatures be reaching. And He called this light Ahmad. He called it this light Ahmad because the main creation, even of the alphabets, are created from this light. Later we start defining this science by the sacred geometry. Now scientists inhabiting Earth, they're talking about the sacred geometry as the form of the existence. Many people, they're talking about the sacred geometry, but they don't really know where it came from. Even the Arabic alphabet completely came from the sacred geometry. Even the English letter now used to be Arabic numbering system, Arabic numbering system. They came in from the sacred geometry, because everything has to be built by science, and this is the wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jalla. This is where we know He is the most wise. This is where we know He is the most powerful, because He did really create a science behind all that. So we know that He is the creator. Nothing came randomly. So when He created this light, He said to this light, He started looking at this light in a form of in a strong form, and this light start giving a certain type of water. I'm talking about the narration from Ahlul Bayt Salamullah. So this water start form under this light, and then later this light went inside the water, and all the creation came to existence. And this is where when we speak about the trees, the main tree, even in the Bible or even in a different books, they've spoken about this tree. and then when Adam took from this was a symbol from the main tree, because this tree is presenting all the creation. Allah Azza wa Jal created the trees on earth because He's telling us something. Everything earth is Allah Azza wa Jal created it is symbolizing something else in different universe, because He wants us in this struggle to know what is He's talking about in this book or that book. He wants us to reach the reality, the ultimate reality, which is will make us go and find who we really are, and then find who is Allah Azza wa Jal. This form of narration from Ahlul Bayt, the successors of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, is the ultimate truth, because they are trying to give us hints so we think more, we think deep. What happened exactly at that form? So when that light came with this water, because Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran He said he everything has a life has to have a water with. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. We made from water everything alive. This is the main thing. So if you want to find any place water, that's why scientists always search the water in any planet. So they say if they have water there, so certain creatures they used to live there, or they're gonna be living in the future. So Allah Azza wa Jalla He mentioned this in the Quran. He said this is where the main water came from. I'm not talking about the water that here we have it here on earth. This is a representation from the main water. This is where scientists, even religious scientists, they miss, because they don't separate from the kingdom of Allah Azza wa Jal, and they don't separate from what in the dimension that we live in. Because I told you before, our brain still very immature regarding what God is telling us, specifically in the holy books, that He's kept talking about the water, and He said there's different type of waters and so on. So anyway, I spoke about this before, and this is where all the lights start coming to reality. This is where all these lights they start coming to form who we really are exactly. But even this reality still does not present the real where did we come from, because there is something there that is showing us where did we come from. Some people now that will say, oh, this is stories, there's no proof. Yeah, there is proof. Actually, Allah Azza wa Jal, we believe this in Islam. Allah Azza wa Jal, He gives science to people. He gives those science to people. All those scientists, they think, their brain gave them the capability to understand and to discover. No, not the reality. This is not the reality. Allah Azza wa Jal always revealed that sciences to those people. Because let's talk, if you want to go inside this philosophy, let's talk about the brain itself. Brain itself has this imagination. If we ask certain person, can you imagine something does not exist? He will say, flying house, or so on. So he used two concepts that exist to make something does not exist in his thinking, while it does exist. If we ask something, give us something does not exist at all. If you really think about it yourself too, you will 100% be and know that nothing you can think of does not exist. Because Allah Azza wa Jal, He made a limitation even for your thoughts or even for your imagination. Some people say that imagination is unlimited, or you can imagine whatever you want. No, even imagination has a limitation. It has laws that govern this. It has things that will string you down when you wake up. Anyway, so science always come to people in this form of Allah Azza wa Jal will reveal it for them. The same way He said, وَأَوْحَى لِلنَّحْلِ, the bees, the way they work, Allah Azza wa Jal, He did teach him that. He mentioned this in the Quran. Even when a young person or a freshly born baby, how did he know that he should be crying for him to get the attention? Because this is Allah Azza wa Jal, He embedded this inside our brains, and this is how we are evolving inside this life, under the permission of Allah. So same thing, Allah Azza wa Jal, He gave us these codes to understand and to go with, and then He revealed to those scientists something that we call it now the Hadron Collider. The Hadron Collider, where we bring two atoms and then we smash them together, and when we apply a certain energy and a certain high voltage or so on, in a form that we make them go under the speed of light a little bit, and then a certain point we make them crash together, and then from this crash we will have a certain different things that we're struggling to get. Even though Muslims and even the religious people from Muslims and Christians and Jewish, they say, those scientists, they're following the way of the devil. In reality, the Hadron Collider is showing us how we were created at the very beginning. But nobody really is studying the real science and showing that religion is the continuum of the science. Allah Azza wa Jal, when He revealed this science to those physicists, to show us what is happening when you're smashing those two atoms, He's telling us, look there, this is those people paid $10 billion for this project because they were trying, to find something else inside matter. But in reality, I am showing you, the human being, how you were created yourself. Because when you have something smashing both, you see all these forces come. Some of them are circular, some of them are linear. You see that Allah Azza wa Jal, He spoke about this inside Surah Al-Rahman. Inside Surah Al-Rahman, Allah Azza wa Jal, He spoke in a very important verse. By the way, Surah Al-Rahman, if you read it from the very beginning to the very end, He's talking about the kingdom of the main creation, how we were created all. Mainly, if you really think deeply inside science 100%, you apply all the sciences that now exist, you see that how we were created completely from the main existence. And then Surah Al-Rahman number 22 verse 22, He said, يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان, there come forth from them pearls, both large and small. For sure the translation always a little different, but the main two subject is something linear and something circular. The circular, Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentioned it by a pearl. He said, when there's something, two things are clashing like two seas, there's something between them are coming. What is it exactly? He said the fourth, the marjan inside the sea. You see, it's linear. And then the other one is marjan, it's what we call it in Arabic lu'lu', is pearl, and both representation of the male and the female. This is the both representation of male and female. The male is presented by the pearl, and the female presented by the fourth, because there has to be linear attraction. Now, if we really apply this science that we have in the narration of Rasulullah, he said, they asked him, Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen, they told him how a woman was created. He said, the woman was created in Arabic. If I would say it in Arabic, he said, was created from, they say, the rib. In Arabic, there's this word called dula. Dula. If you want to directly translate it to English, it have two meaning. The first one is rib. Dula is rib over here. The second one, dula in Arabic, when we use it into mathematics, it will be what? It will be a tangent. It will be when you put circle next to a line. This is where we call it, the distance between them, we call it tangent. This is where all the angles will come between each others. And then we can understand now the Prophet is talking mathematically about the creation of the woman and the man at the same time. Because when a circle come next to a dula, a different creation gonna come. It's gonna open a door to the other kingdom, and then a different creation will come. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal, God, He always want us male and female to marry together, and then He forbid us to have two female or two male, because this is against sacred geometry. This is against ultimate creation. Some people, they say, I'm gonna speak a little bit about this, and then I'm gonna go to a different place. They say even the sacred geometry have two circles coming into each other. No, when we have those two circles, it means that something came from something else. Something came. There's a circle first, and then from this circle, something else came in. When we see those two, and then in the middle we have like something shaped like an eye, and this eye is what we presented later by different creation. I'm gonna speak about it a little bit. Different creation. I spoke about it previously, but now specifically for the Shia, when we say how a Sayyida al-Zahra, you know, a Sayyida al-Zahra, daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she was created. She was created mainly from this form, the form of eye. And I'm gonna talk deeply about what is it exactly, and then what was the test, and where we exactly came from, even where we come from previous from this water and from this light. Allah Azza wa Jal, and this is very important to understand now because we're gonna speak very, very deeply. Allah Azza wa Jal, at the very beginning, He created this light, I told you, and then He put on around this light something called al-hujub, something to cover it. He covered this thing. Let me compare this one by a science, by real science now. If we now inside this universe we live in, we know you bring the telescope, you see there's many universes around us. We have many universes around us, and then they're creating something bigger. All this is inside something, you know, there is a cover. This is where the scientists start speaking about something called singularity. Singularity is the existence of a things inside something that doesn't have anything outside. For example, if you want to imagine your hand, you can imagine inside, but you cannot imagine that there is something outside. This is in religion we call it hujub, covers. He covered it in certain way that it will protect it from something else. Allah Azza wa Jal, He did speak about this in the Holy Quran. And then he put inside our eyes something called al-hujub, so we won't see other dimension. Why? Because we cannot really understand why it does it. So he tried to isolate us from. It's like an isolation, like a veil He put inside our eyes, so we don't see all those dimensions, because they're not really important for you to know now. When certain person die, he will see all those realities, and he will understand why He really isolated us from them. Anyway, so when He created this light, He isolated with a certain isolation, a certain veil. And then when you have a light and you have a certain veil, a darkness gonna be created in the other side. This darkness is always opposite of what you have in the other side. For example, if I have a certain light, and then I put a veil next to it, in the other side, this veil is going to be talking about the specification of the light. Allah Azza wa Jal in Holy Quran, He spoke about this. He said in one verse, He said, we created the what we call it in English, in Arabic, al-dhil. Al-dhil is when you stand next to the sun and then you see your shadow. We created at the dhil. And then He said, we made the shadow. We made this shadow represent not represent the simple. We made this shadow is presenting a place where you see where is the light is coming from. So for example, if you see something standing next to the sun, and then you see a shadow over here, you know directly that the sun is in this side. Allah Azza wa Jal, He spoke about the shadow in the Holy Quran. Many people, they pass by this verse and they say, why Allah Azza wa Jal is speaking about the shadow? And He said, we made the shadow is where to find mainly the light. They say maybe He's talking about certain reality, but every verse inside the Holy Quran is very important. He does not speak just narration and stories in the Quran. He's telling us that when He made this light for Ahmad, which is presented on earth by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this light mainly was covered by this veil. And then when you cover by a veil, in the other opposite side, it will be completely reversed. For example, if you have the ultimate kingdom, you have the best akhlaq inside, you have the best morality and so on. When you put a veil, it will be completely reversed. So when He created Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ahmad, in the best form ever, when He put this veil, everything inside this creation completely was reversed. Everything was reversed. And then this is where something called the void came in. The void, the darkness came in. Some people now they will say there's no. What do you mean void? There's nothing called void. If there's void, that then does not exist. By the way, void does exist. It has an existence. Same thing in mathematics. When you say zero, if we have a zero, you say where can we get the zero from? Actually, zero does exist, even in mathematics. You see, let's say I have my hands now, this hand and this hand. I apply 1000 Newton and I apply 1000 Newton from this side. I push so hard. Even if when I push, my hand is not moving other way, because when it's move other way, then this one is going more powerful than. So in mathematics we have plus infinity and we have minus infinity. They're pushing both in certain place. This place called zero because it's not moving, but we have two infinity. They're pushing infinitely in this point and under this point, and it's not moving. So zero, the effect of zero is created. This is one of the one of the explanation of zero. What is it exactly? Same thing, void. Void does exist. We came mainly from void. Let's say now, because we have Hajj, we have something called in Islam pilgrimage. In pilgrimage, who did really announce this is Prophet Abraham. Allah Azza wa Jal told Prophet Abraham, "Oh Abraham, go up to this mountain and then call upon people to come to pilgrim." Abraham looked, it's like there's nobody. Who you want me to call? When he start talking to the angels representing Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal starts talking to Abraham through the angels. He said, "Who you want me to call? There's nobody." He said, "Go up and then call, and then I will deliver this." He went, Abraham alayhi salam, up, and then he started calling people to come to Hajj. And then when he started calling Allah Azza wa Jal, he made his voice. We have a narration from Ahl al-Bayt that he made his voice go through Alam al-Dhar. Alam al-Dhar is where we existed before we came in here. And then we start saying Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika. Oh people, oh Allah, we will answer, we will follow, we will so on. If you people know, when we go the pilgrim, they will say this Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, and then they will turn in certain way. All this has a science, and this science exists in the sacred geometry. But I'm not gonna talk about pilgrim now. I'm gonna talk about why Abraham did this, because he is presenting a kingdom image from Ahmad, the main light. Because the main light, when Allah Azza wa Jal, he said this is the light, this is the void, and then there is a veil between them. So he took the veil out. This light, the light presenting by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to the darkness. He went to the darkness now. And then when you have a light and you have a darkness, what's gonna happen? You're gonna make all this void, you're gonna be open to light. And then all this light gonna go inside. Same thing like the black hole. The black hole gonna eat all the light, so it's gonna go inside. So immediately the void now knew that there's something inside. It is like you have outside and inside. Like same thing like us now. We have a body outside and we have an inside. This is the main ultimate story about who is Ahl al-Bayt are. Please focus on this point and understand it very clearly. Inshallah, if you have any questions, I will answer them all later. So anyway, so this is the light, and this is the veil, and this is the void. Very simple, very simple. We have a light, we have a veil. Immediately you will know that there is a void behind this veil. So when you took out the veil, the void still exists, but now it's all light. So if you put a very powerful light to a certain object, and this object, please understand this, and this object it does resist the light, it will start having fire inside. That's why mainly we say the devil are from fires. Allah Azza wa Jal created devils from fires. Now we will understand who is the main devil is. We understand that our devil, we have now the Satan, or whoever you want to call. Those, they exist us, they are like, they have a nafs, they have a self like us, but their bodies are made from fire. But the main one called Habtar, Ahl al-Bayt, the successors of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi, because Rasulullah, he did teach him this from Allah. He said the main one is Habtar, this void called Habtar, and it has a representation in Alam al-Dunya. I will tell you later where. So Haptar over here, there was the main void, the light came in, and then the light start calling inside this light to come to Allah Azza wa Jal. Do not follow, do not be reverse the light, be like the light. This is the main struggle inside our, this is where why Allah Azza wa Jal created the Prophet. The Prophet are the presentation of that light. Each thing that the light did in the kingdom, Allah Azza wa Jal created a certain Prophet in Alam al-Dunya to show us who is this light is. Because He called us, He said, you know, come to me, come to Allah Azza wa Jal. Be like me, be like my status. Me, I am a status. Allah Azza wa Jal look at me as His beloved. Be like me to Allah Azza wa Jal. Be like me, be a beloved to Allah. Be like Moses, be like Jesus, be like Abraham, be like any prophets you want, to the point that be like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a form of status inside the eyes of Allah Azza wa Jal when He look at us. So inside the void, we were there. We were this black that existed inside this void. And then we start, you know, when this light opened, it opened inside the void, because now the void is having the fire over it. That's why we passed over the fire. Allah Azza wa Jal inside the Quran, He said, وَمَا مِنْكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. Nobody from you has to pass by the fire. We did pass by the fire, brothers and sisters, and we are going after Alam al-Dunya. When we go there, we're gonna go pass by the fire, and then we go to the heavens if we did good over here. But we still have to pass, even we have to pass fast or so on, but because we are doing the reverse things from Alam al-Dunya to Alam al-Akhirah. Inshallah later we'll speak about this more deeply, because it's like a picture. It's like a picture. It's like you see yourself in a mirror, and then we live in Alam al-Dunya, and Alam al-Dunya is the mirror. We are inside this mirror. The reality is outside this mirror. So anyway, when this veil, it was open, and Rasulullah said, come upon to Allah Azza wa Jal, come over here. This is the real meaning of, this is why we do pilgrimage. When someone asks you why we do pilgrimage, it doesn't make any sense. It does make a sense. Because when you go do a pilgrimage inside the Kaaba is mean the cube. Inside sacred geometry there's a cube. Inside the sea there's small cubes. And which is we call it salt. It's very important to understand all these things. So this light called us, said, come to the power of Allah Azza wa Jal, come to the kingdom of Allah Azza wa Jal, come, so on. So we start going from the inside of this darkness to the outside. That's very important to understand. This is where we come from. That's why we live in Alam al-Dunya. We are in a cleansing state. We are now over there. The light of Rasulullah attracted us. Even attracted all the creation. I'm not just talking about us human being. I'm talking about the jinn. I'm talking about the devils. I'm talking about any form of life existed now or in existence in this planet or different planet. There's many creation outside, even from the angels, even from any creation you can call it. All were called upon from that void. And who did call us? Ahmad, that light. He called us from this place. That's why we have in Alam al-Dunya something called pilgrim. That's why Ibrahim alayhi salam, he called us to do the pilgrimage, to say, you know, we did follow the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, but we don't really remember, because over here in Alam al-Dunya we follow a different reasoning. We follow the reasoning of the brain, and the brain is materialistic. If we really understand things beyond materialism, we understand that pilgrimage is defining the call to Allah Azza wa Jal, is replying, saying, we want you, Allah Azza wa Jal. You called us to do this, and we want to do this, and we want to be with this. So anyway, so all this creation came from the Haptar, you know, the void, this void, and start going to that nur. So now when we start coming to this place, we have to go under the sea, under that place I told you, this water, the main water. So what happened is this light came in, went inside the water, created like a big boom. Allah Azza wa Jal referred this big boom inside the Quran by Taha. You know, when He said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Taha, inside the Quran. Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, if you wanna really understand sometimes certain type of surahs of the Quran al-Kareem, you have to recite it out loud. You have to really recite it out loud. Sometimes reciting the Quran with no voice, you will not make you understand what is it. So when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Taha, you see like big boom, and then there's what echo after that. Taha is a big boom and then an echo after that. This is what happened when the light came inside this water, and then we were underwater, and then directly we were cleansed by this water, and then we came from the form of void to the form of nur. We were small lights gathering around this tree. Some accepted this tree, some refused this tree. That's why in Alam al-Dunya were created Muslim or Christians or Buddhist or so on. You were created in this life because of this domain, the first test. That was a test strings mainly by forces. Light, positive, negative. Immediately you this force called you, and then immediately you go toward it. Same thing like when you dream. Sometime inside your dream, some stuff happen you won't understand the physics of, but there's a reasoning behind this. We cannot 100% understand this reasoning in Alam al-Dunya over here. Why? Because the physics is different. But when we go to different place, we will understand. We will remember all these things. Now over here, when all what we need is we really need to follow the fitrah. Fitrah is where Allah Azza wa Jal embedded all this inside us. But because we, inside the mapping of our brain, we put so much things wrong on top of each other, we won't able to go inside this type of information. Because this type of information exists inside every single one of us. It's inside the heart, inside the brain. It is the ultimate reality. It is followed by science, and it is proven by science. Everything science now doing is proving the theory of God that exists inside the Holy Quran, or the book, without altering those books. Anyway, so when we accepted this call from the Ahmad, from the Nur Ahmad, we were all there. We were human beings, jinn, different creatures inhabiting earth, different place. Anything that has a spirit, we followed this call. We wanted to go to Allah Azza wa Jal, because this call is the ultimate things, cleansing yourself from a void to existence. This is where the struggle is, from the void to existence. Now Allah Azza wa Jal said, because He is most forgiving, most merciful, He said, I'm not gonna decide those people that go back to void or not. Those people now, void, what is it? Void is hellfire. Void is fire now, because this place, it does not, if He completely said I will follow the light, which is Ahmad, we will not have any more hellfire anymore. But this void, certain place of this void, now this place now, where is it? Hellfire. This is where, because it's refused the call of the Nur, now came in like a light, not light, came in like a fire. That's why we live in this, we're living in this dimension to prove ourselves, to become to reality, to be real people in existence. And if we refuse it, or we don't follow, or we drop this test, we go back to the void. But void now, it's no more like used to be before. It is fire. That's why there is fire. That's why some people say, why Allah, why God, He's most forgiving, why He wanna create fire, why He created fire? And then some people say, because it's a punishment. No, it's not a punishment in a real way, in real punishment. It is like you go back to your own origins. The void is fire now, because your origin is void, and then you're gonna go back to void. You don't wanna pass, you don't wanna accept anything, you don't wanna accept morality, you don't wanna accept following the real light, you don't wanna be good in life, you don't wanna follow loving humans, you wanna be bad always, you have all these bad features, you hurt your people, you kill people. So you didn't follow the code, you didn't follow the code that Allah Azza wa Jalla told you. If you follow it, you will be in existence from the void. You don't want to follow it. You're insisting on not following all this. So you go back to your void. And void now is fire. So anyway, so this void, he knew that there is outside and inside. He said to the light, because you hurt me, there's many things from inside me went to you. We used to be there. I'm gonna do the same thing to you. For sure there is something inside you that gonna come. I can bring it to me. So he start, the void came in to next to the light, and he start telling inside to come outside to the void. And then I'm talking here about the sciences. I'm talking about positive and negative. I'm talking about forces. I'm talking about a certain way that even energy now exists. Everything exists by two. The duality of existence. That's why I told you Islam or Christianity or all religion refused homosexuality, refused all those things, because they are against the duality of the main code of life. They refuse them, not because what the devil now embedding inside many brains say, God created them like that. God does not create people like this. Even now there's a debate saying we have to understand the pedophiles, and because God created them like this. Now we say, people can a son can marry his mother because he can fall in love. There's nothing inside the code saying it's bad, because God made him like this. Because inside the DNA, usually we go to the, there's something in DNA made you fall in love with your own DNA, So all these laws now are all those people, because they keep following the devil. They want us to keep following those things without treating those people. We're not saying those people are different. We're not saying those people are less anything in humanity, but we say that the devil embedded the same thing, like the people who have urges to go steal. Do we say those people we have to respect them, let them go steal? Some people have the urges to go kill. We have to respect them, we have to let them go kill? No, we have to treat those people, because every one of us always he need to go to his void. The void, the blackness, because we came from there. Our struggle in life to take this away from inside us. We need to take it, we need to kick it out, we need to fill our heart of the nur of this light from the kingdom of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this blackness, this void, start using his forces to go to get the inside. And then the inside, if we look at sacred geometry, we see those two circles. The first circle is presenting Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was called in the Malakut, in the kingdom, Ahmad. Inside them is called Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali is the inside of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And then Rasulullah, in many narration, he spoke about this. He spoke, أنت مني بمنزلة هارون من موسى, Ali أنت نفسي التي بين. There is many narration that Rasulullah spoke about Imam Ali, that he is his inside, his nafs. Even when he brought his Sahaba, he said, you are like brothers, this one and this one. And then Ali, he is my brother, he is my inside, he is my, he is the inside of me. Many places where he spoke about this. And he was not speaking about this because just love or so on. He is speaking the reality, the truth. He's talking about the real science that existed. So anyway, when this Haptar, he start using his sciences, his energy to attract the inside of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ahmad, this inside start refusing. Now we're talking about dimension of energy. Start refusing what we call it the eye. The eye over here, when you draw two circles, I'm not talking about masons. I'm talking about the real eye. The real eye that the devil start taking this eye and then showing it is very bad and so on. And those people, the masons, start using it for their own satanic things. But in reality, this eye exists in different form, the same shape that have the eyes that have where we come from, the mother wombs to the alam ad-dunya. It is like a portal from place to place. And he started using these forces, and this inside refused the devil. He said, I am gonna refuse it. I wanna be inside the kingdom of Allah Azza wa Jal. I am happy to be here. Allah Azza wa Jal gave this place a consciousness, gave this place to refuse what it was a real test. This is the real, was a completely real test. So Allah Azza wa Jal, so this place started calling Allah. He said, please Allah, make the Habtar go away from me. Make him go away. He wanna shake me, but I don't wanna be shaken. So Allah Azza wa Jal took this consciousness, took this creation, and then He put it in the Hur al-Ain. Hur al-Ain, where in heaven, in a place, in a where Hur al-Ain for us. I wanna speak few minutes about this, because there's the versions. We refer them in English the version. In reality, when we do something good in Alam al-Dunya, everything we do it in presentation. When we die, we will see it as a real being. Because everything we do now, we think it's just a thing, that it doesn't have an effect. No, it does have many effects. For example, we have a narration, Sunnah and Shia, that when you pray, your prayer is gonna be presented by a being when you die. We have many narrations. Even today, I was reading from the Sunni books that when certain person die, when they put him in a grave, a beautiful person will come, and then this will be the prayers. For example, if you memorize the Quran and you read the Quran and you always follow the Quran, a being will be created from this, because you did something good, and it will be your helper in an afterlife. Many things we do, so when you pass that life, this test, Allah Azza wa Jal will create from your own deeds, whatever you did, something to fit you everywhere, which will be the ultimate. For example, a man will have a woman will have a man. This is what we call it in Arabic, Hur al-Ain. That's why they referred again to the eye. You see, that's why Allah Azza wa Jal, He tell them Hur al-Ain. When we talk about the religious people or the sheikhs, we say, why He call them Hur al-Ain? They say because they have a beautiful eyes. No, not because the beautiful eyes. Because we're talking about the main creation. The same thing like eye. Hur al-Ain is like an eye. This is where, because every single person is like the goodness of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the devil now he's inside you. He's telling you to come back to me, come back to the void. Now you refused him. Allah Azza wa Jal will create a hur for you. You see, ayn. You see, ayn. Same thing. Like that's why they were created, hur ayn. That's why they were called inside the Quran hur ayn. So it will be that your opposite sex. Same thing. In Jannah will be over here. In Jannah after Yawm al-Qiyamah, the judgment day will be completely different. Nobody will know what is it exactly, because it will be created from completely different physics. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He put all this conscious inside this Hur Ain, and then He brought it back to the existence, and then it was presented by Sayyidah Zahra Salamullah alayha. Now assert some people, they will say, specifically Sunnis and some Shia, they say, now we're talking imagination because you love Ahlul Bayt, you're talking like this. No, if you open the dua of ziyarah we have, if you open Mafatih al-Jinan or any supplication book for Sundays, you see inside Sundays it said Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Assalamu alayki ya mumtahana. You say, Assalamu alaykum, who tested you, inside the dua. And then He will say He tested you before He created you, inside the dua Yawm al-Ahad, inside the Sunday supplication. He say, Assalamu, peace be upon you, who Allah Azza wa Jal tested you, and He tested you before He created you. So many people, they start scratching their maybe some scientists, some religious scholars, they'll say, maybe this is some mistake. When they start copying from Ahlul Bayt, no, this is a mistake. How God can create, how can God test someone before His creation? In reality, this is how, because it was used to be a conscious something in the inside of that nur. Habtar, he started calling upon it, he refused it. It was not named Fatima before, and then he took this conscious because he refused the devil. Same thing like that, our test in Alam al-Dunya, when we refuse the devil, Allah Azza wa Jal will create a hur for us in Alam after Dunya. But the only difference, Allah Azza wa Jal, He got this hur to Alam al-Dunya, and He showed us who really is, because it's from the deed of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his inside Amir al-Mu'minin Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the reality of Sayyidah Zahra, brothers and sisters. It's a very beautiful reality. And same thing in Alam al-Dunya happened to her. Same thing. Allah Azza wa Jal in Alam al-Dunya, He showed us what happened when He died, when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam died, He was martyred. Those people, they were called the Khulafa, they came in after Amir al-Mu'mineen to his place, and he said, we want Ali, we want him now to come and to shake the hand of the first Khalifa and to make him first Khalifa, where he refused. He said, no, I won't do that, because you listened to Rasulullah, you said, no, I don't want to do it. See, this is now Habtar over here in Alam al-Dunya. He was presented in Alam al-Dunya over here. He's the same person who tried to assassinate Sayyidah Zahra, and Sayyidah Zahra over here, she stopped him in a door. She said, when they start calling, said, we're gonna come inside, I wanna take Ali to do the bay'ah, we're gonna do to shake his hand to say you're Khalifa to Abu Bakr. And then Imam Ali, he refused. So Sayyidah Zahra, she did something very great. She's teaching us something very great. She's the first martyr in Islam as a woman. She stood in a door. She said, you cannot pass by me. I'm gonna put my body there. You cannot go through Ali except if you go through me, through my body. And they did. They broke that door, and then they broke her rib, and then Muhsin alayhi salam came down, and they went inside the dar, that place, the house of Sayyidah Zahra. And then they told Imam Ali, you're gonna come now to the masjid. So Imam Ali said, I'll follow you to the masjid. So they went to the masjid, because the masjid was directly next to the house of Sayyidah Zahra. Sayyidah Zahra now, she's bleeding over here. We really need to understand these things, because it's presenting the malakut, the kingdom of Allah. This has happened there, and it's happening in earth. Allah Azza wa Jal showing us here, so we understand what happened there. It's a reflection. Whatever happened in the kingdom, it's happening in Alam al-Dunya over here. So Sayyidah Zahra, she refused this, even though Imam Ali, he refusing that. He will never be scared from them. He could just take his sword and then kill them all, but it is not now the time to do that, because this will happen in Alam al-Raj'a. When we come back, they're coming back, it's gonna happen there, because Allah Azza wa Jal, He destined this. He said, Habtar, in the kingdom place, he still exists. If you kill Habtar in Alam al-Dunya, this one gonna be killed over there. It's not the time now to be killed, because we're still living in the dimension from the malakut to the over here, from the kingdom to Alam al-Dunya. I told you before, we are like the mirror. We are inside this mirror. The reality is facing us. We really just need to clear our eyes to see this reality. Because if he killed it over here, it will not be presented anymore in Alam al-Dunya. This is the destiny of Allah Azza wa Jal. That's why Alam al-Dunya is not an important place. That's why we should be struggling to Allah in Alam al-Dunya. That's why we should be following the morality. We're not following the money, not following the shahawat, not following just the materialistic way that we live in now, following the money from place to place, following men and women, following the beautiful cars. I'm not saying those are bad things to follow, but I'm saying if it's capturing our hearts, we cannot never look at the reality of existence anymore. We're looking at the void, brothers and sisters, and we shouldn't be really looking at the void. So anyway, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he went to the masjid, and he told them, I will never shake the hand. He will never shake this hand. And then Sayyidah Zahra followed Amir al-Mu'mineen. She went inside, she opened, the same thing, the same dua she did in the kingdom. She said, oh Allah, make the devil, make Habtar go away. And he did, and he put veil. She went inside the masjid, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she opened her eyes. She said, oh Allah, when she started doing the dua, even narration from the Sunnis, the mosque, it has discovered the top starts floating in air. And then this is something very scary to everyone. They looked at her, she's angry, the light is coming from her face, she's bleeding at the same time, she's asking Allah Azza wa Jal. And they know from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Fatima is the continuum of Rasulullah sallallahu. When he said Fatimatun bid'atun minni, man adhaha, the person who hurt Fatima is like hurting me, and the person who is hurting me is like hurting Allah Azza wa Jal. So she started crying. She raised her hand. She said, oh Allah, everything started shaking. over here there start Haptar, that he lived here from the Sahaba, he started shaking inside. He really felt very afraid, because he know this feeling presenting from the Alam Malakut to over here. He said, oh Ali, stop her from praying, please go to your house. We don't need you to shake the hand, we don't need you to do bay'ah for anybody. Just go home, take Fatima and go home. And Fatima succeed again in defeating this Haptar again and again and again, and she will continuously defeat him, even though he's still killing a lot of Alawiyyin and still killing many Shi'as till this point, because they follow that person. So where did we come from? We came from the void, and the void now exists in the universe. If you look at the universe, go to Google, say the big void. Inside the universe, you will see the picture of that big void. It does exist in Alam al-Dunya. It does exist in the universe. We were able to capture that void. Allah Azza wa Jal kept this void to scientists to discover it, so we know it does exist. So a person like me, when he comes, said we came in from that void, you won't make fun of, because it does exist. It is the reality. We live in Alam al-Dunya to kick this void from inside us, because we have the devil is presenting Haptar over there. He say, you know what, go back to the void, go back to the void. Certain people, they're gonna listen to him. When they go back to the void, they wanna go back when they die, and this void will gonna be a fire, because it is a fire now. This void is gonna become a fire. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal created the hellfire. When you say, oh, Allah Azza wa Jal, He's very bad, you know how a God can create a fire? Actually, the fire is because He refused the light. This existence refused the light, and because you're refusing the light in Alam al-Dunya, you're gonna go back to your own origins, and now your own origin is a fire, because you refused this. And then the person who will accept this light in Alam al-Dunya, he will refuse this devil. He will be like this eye, which is presented by Sayyida Zahra to Imam Amirul Mu'mineen. We will have our own eyes when we die in Alam al-Barzakh. Alam Barzakh is the one after death, and inshallah we're gonna have the ultimate one in Yawm al-Qiyamah, where all the creation will go back to real reality, and we will see the real tree that this tree was presented to every Adam, and this tree was presented to Nabi Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Moses inside the Quran, and it was presented to Nabi Ibrahim, and it was presented to every single prophet, because those prophets are staged to Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the real reality of the prophet. This is who we are, this is our struggle, and this is what we really need to make. I know there's too much information to continually talking about that. Inshallah, in the future I will continuously listen to your questions. Inshallah, I will answer them. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asri innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be upon you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.